March 1995. Microsoft owns personal computing. 90% of the world's computers run Windows. Bill Gates is the richest man alive. That month, Microsoft releases a new product, cartoon rooms, animated dogs. They call it Bob. They project millions of sales, but sell only 58,000 copies. Bob is voted worst tech product of the decade. Yet buried inside its failure is the most famous font on Earth. So why did Microsoft build a product nobody wanted? And what did it accidentally leave behind? To understand Bob, you have to understand what Microsoft is actually trying to solve in the early 1990s. Personal computers are selling faster than anyone predicted. Prices are dropping. Families are buying their first machines. But there is a problem that Bill Gates sees clearly. The people buying computers cannot use them. Not really. Windows 3.1 requires users to navigate file directories, understand program managers, and memorize commands that mean nothing to someone who has never touched a computer. The gap between owning a computer and actually using one is enormous. Gates has a stated mission, a computer on every desk and in every home. But a computer that intimidates its owner is not fulfilling that mission. Microsoft's research teams spend years studying how ordinary people interact with technology. What they find is uncomfortable. Most new users are not confused by individual features. They are overwhelmed by the entire concept of a desktop. Icons, windows, menus, nested folders. None of it maps onto anything in their physical world. A researcher named Karen Fries leads a team tasked with solving this problem. Her solution is radical. Instead of simplifying the Windows desktop, replace it entirely. Give users something they already understand. A house, rooms they can walk through, objects they can click, a calendar on the wall, a checkbook on the desk, a letter on the table. Click the letter and a word processor opens. Click the checkbook and a finance app opens. The computer becomes a home, something familiar, something that does not require a manual. The project begins in 1991 under the codename Utopia. That name tells you everything about what the team believes they are building. The product that emerges 3 years later is genuinely ambitious. Bob replaces the Windows desktop with a cartoon house rendered in warm colors with crackling fireplaces and comfortable furniture. Each room contains objects that represent applications. The study has a desk with pen and paper for the word processor. The family room has a calendar on the wall. The kitchen has a checkbook on the counter. Users can customize their rooms, add decorations, rearrange objects, and make the space feel personal. But the defining feature of Bob is not the house, it is the characters. Rover the dog lives in the front room and serves as the primary guide, appearing in a speech bubble whenever the user needs help. Other characters include a turtle, a rabbit, an elephant, and a cat. Each one offers guidance, tips, and encouragement as the user navigates the software. No manual required. The computer talks to you. It explains itself. It holds your hand. If you're enjoying this content, subscribe now. The research behind this concept is not trivial. Karen Fries works with Professors Clifford Nass and Byron Reeves at Stanford University, who study human-computer interaction. Their research suggests that people respond to computers more naturally when computers behave like social agents rather than tools. The conversational character approach is grounded in real academic work. Melinda Gates, wife of Bill Gates, serves as the marketing manager for Bob. The packaging is carefully designed to signal warmth and accessibility. A smiley-faced nerd logo, friendly language, the slogan, hard-working, easygoing software everyone will use. The pricing lands at $99. Microsoft predicts sales to be in the millions, comparable to its successful Works and Encarta products. Bob launches on March 31, 1995. The reviews are immediate, and they are unkind. The New York Times calls the design the work of an aesthetically challenged sixth grader. The Washington Post describes the home environment as sterile and lifeless, and notes that the character's cuteness wears thin quickly. Wired captures the industry consensus. The interface feels patronizing. Adult users do not want a cartoon dog walking them through the process of opening a calendar. The condescension of the interface is its central problem. Bob is designed for someone who has never touched a computer, but that person also does not have the hardware required to run it. And here is the technical disaster buried underneath the conceptual one. Bob requires more than 8 megabytes of RAM to run. In 1995, most home computers have 4. The product designed for beginners requires a machine that only a more experienced user would own. The audience Bob is built for cannot run it. The audience that can run it does not want it. Sales collapse immediately. Microsoft's internal projections assume millions of copies moving through retail channels. The actual figure from the product's entire lifespan is 58,000 copies. Microsoft pulls Bob from shelves in early 1996, 13 months after launch. PC World eventually names it the 7th worst tech product of all time. CNET names it the worst product of the decade. Time magazine includes it on its list of the 50 worst inventions in history. But something survives. While Bob is in development, a Microsoft employee named Vincent Connor notices that Rover the dog speaks in Times New Roman. To Connor, a typographer, this is wrong. Times New Roman is a formal newspaper font. It has no place coming out of a cartoon dog's mouth. Connor designs a new font specifically for Rover's speech bubbles. Something casual, handwritten looking, friendly. He calls it Comic Sans. Comic Sans is finished too late to be included in Bob. The program is already in its final stage and the font cannot be integrated in time. But the font exists now, and Microsoft includes it in the Windows 95 release package as an additional font option. From there, it spreads to every Windows computer on Earth. Within a few years, it appears on church newsletters, birthday invitations, office memos, school presentations, roadside signs, restaurant menus, and eventually on every internet meme that needs to signal absurdity. Bob dies in 13 months. Comic Sans is still everywhere 30 years later. The fallout inside Microsoft is swift and quiet. Bob's failure is never officially acknowledged in any public statement. Microsoft does not hold a press conference. Bill Gates does not address it. The product simply disappears from shelves in early 1996 and is never mentioned in the company's annual reports or product roadmaps again. Melinda Gates, the marketing manager who staked her early career on Bob, addresses it publicly only once in a 2017 LinkedIn post written more than 20 years after the failure. She writes that she understood flops were part of the process, that Microsoft even joked internally that you had to have a major failure to get your first promotion. But she also writes that failing so hard and so publicly was a new experience entirely. Karen Fries, the project lead, moves on to other Microsoft work. The Bob team scatters. The codename Utopia is retired. But the philosophy does not die. Microsoft takes the core idea, a friendly animated character guiding users through software, and builds it into Office. Clippy launches in Office 97. He is a paperclip with eyes who appears whenever Microsoft thinks you need help. Users hate him for the same reason they hated Rover. He assumes you need assistance when you did not ask for it. He interrupts. He condescends. Microsoft kills Clippy in 2001 after years of complaints. Rover reappears in Windows XP as the search assistant. Microsoft kills him in 2007. Every version of Bob's idea dies the same death. The lesson takes Microsoft 12 years to learn. 3 mistakes destroyed Bob, and understanding them explains why dominant companies keep making the same errors. The first mistake is solving a real problem with the wrong solution. The problem Bob identifies is genuine. Computers are too hard for ordinary people. But the solution? Replacing the desktop with cartoon rooms and animated characters, maps the digital world onto a physical metaphor that does not actually help users accomplish anything faster or more intuitively. Clicking a cartoon typewriter to open a word processor is not simpler than clicking an icon labeled word processor. It is just more elaborate. The interface adds complexity disguised as simplicity. The second mistake is building for an audience that cannot afford the product. Bob requires 8 megabytes of RAM in a world where most home computers have 4. The team builds for an idealized user with equipment the idealized user does not own. This is not a small oversight. This is a fundamental failure to test the product against the reality of its market. The third mistake is launching into your own disruption. Bob ships in March 1995. Windows 95 ships in August 1995, 5 months later. Windows 95 solves the complexity problem that Bob was built to address. It introduces the Start menu, the taskbar, and a dramatically simplified desktop that makes Windows accessible to ordinary users without cartoons or animated dogs, and Windows 95 comes free with every new PC. Bob costs $99 and requires a hardware upgrade most users cannot afford. The moment Windows 95 launches, Bob has no reason to exist. Microsoft competes with itself and loses. There is a version of this story where Bob works. If the hardware requirements were lower, if Windows 95 had taken a different approach to its interface, if the character design had felt less condescending to adult users, any one of these things changes the outcome, but they do not change. And Bob fails completely, except for one font that a typographer designed for a cartoon dog that never got to use it. Bob was not a stupid idea. It was a smart idea executed badly, launched at the wrong moment, for an audience that did not exist yet. The tragedy of Microsoft Bob is not that someone built it. It is that someone at the most powerful software company in the world looked at the finished product, saw the cartoon rooms and the animated dog, and decided it was ready. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and watch the next video above.